Begin today the Gemara, the bottom of Daf Chav Zayin, 2 lines up from the bottom of the Yomud, where it says, Omar Rabba Bar Bachana. So the Gemara here was discussing what it said in the Mishnah for a person to heal himself by a doctor or Avoda Zara, when it's allowed, when it's not allowed. So the Gemara brings another statement regarding the subject. Omar Rabba Bar Bachana, Omar Rabbi Yechanan, Kol Makkah, Shemachal Nales HaShabbos. If a person has a wound that is something that you could be Mechal Shabbos for this because his life is in danger, misrape mehen, you may not go and be healed from a doctor, a guy, which is Avoda Zara. Which means, according to Rashi, that Rabbi Yechanan is arguing on a point that the Gemara said before. Before the Gemara brought in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, that he said that even if you have a little bit of pain, that was a result of a puncture from a needle by bloodletting, you shouldn't go to a doctor, Avoda Zara. But Rabbi Yechanan is saying that it's only if it's something that your life is in danger, then you shouldn't go to this doctor. That's Rashi's pshat, so it's arguing. But according to Taisvis and many Rishonim, he's not arguing on what it said before. Over here, it's talking about a person that is ill or has a wound. It's in such a case that Rabbi Yechanan is saying that there's a distinction if the person's life is in danger or if the person's life is not in danger. Why? So Taisvis says, because if the person's life is in danger and he ends up dying, so then this doctor, the guy that healed him, won't lose his reputation. Because people will say the reason why he died was it's not the doctor's fault, he was terminally ill. But if his life is not in danger and he goes to this doctor, this Avoda Zara, and he ends up dying, so then it'll reflect badly on the doctor. His reputation is on the line. This guy wasn't deathly ill, and he died from his treatment. That's what Rabbi Yechanan was talking about. But before, Rabbi Yehuda, when he says, even if you have a little puncture from a needle, don't heal that pain by a Goyish doctor, over there his reputation is not on the line. If this patient dies, everybody will know that the doctor killed him. And he'll be proud of it. He'll say, I killed a Jew. And his medical profession is not going to be online. He's not going to lose his reputation. There is where Rabbi Yehuda said that you shouldn't go to this Goyish doctor. So therefore, it's not a machlekes, according to Taisus Pshat.
Yes, it should.
Again?
If it's Suffolk, you should.
No, that's something else. No, it's a different Indian. Suffolk Chai, Suffolk Meis. That's a different subject we learned before in the Amid. In Aveked Amri, there's another version of what said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, that Amr Rabba Bar Bachana, Amr Rabbi Yechanan. Similar, but it said as follows: Kol makkeh shel cholol, anytime it's a wound that's internally in the inner organs of the body, man, you may not get healed from this doctor and Avoda Zara. Now the Gemara asks, "My binayu, what is a practical difference between these two opinions?" Because it seems like it's basically the same thing. Because the Gemara says in a few places that any time a person has a wound that's internal, that is a sign that his life could be in danger, and therefore he could be Mechal Shabbos for this. So before the point is said that if his life is in danger, and now when he says that it's a wound that's inside, it's the same thing. So what is a practical difference? Says the Gemara, the difference is Gav Hayad v'Gav Haregal. If he has a wound that's on the back of the hand or the back of the foot, the top of the foot. In such a case, the Omer Avada Bamasna Omer Rav Gav Hayad v'Gav Haregal, a wound in this area, Harehein Kemakke Shel Cholol, it is in the same category like a wound that's internal, and you could be Mechal Shabbos. This could lead to an infection. Punkt dafka in this area, he said that this could lead to infection, and therefore it is something that you could be Mechal Shabbos for this. So therefore, if you follow what it said, that if his life is in danger, then you should you could be healed by this guy, this Avoda Zara. That includes even this kind of makkah, Gava Yad v'Gava Regel. But according to the second version of what Rabbi Yechanan said, no, it has to dafka be a wound that's internal. This Gava Yad v'Gava Regel, even if it's something that his life could be in danger, but you can't heal yourself by a guy. Right, so Rashi explains that the machlekes over here is, even if this is taka makkah that his life is in danger, according to one opinion, one version of what Rabbi Yechanan said, if this doctor will put a certain healing on this medicine, whatever it is, that you'll see that it's hurting you, and it's not healing you, then the person could take it off immediately. So as long as it's external on his skin, he'll be able to remove it. And therefore, you are able to go to this guy, according to the second version of what Rabbi Yechanan said, you are able to use this doctor, Avoda Zara, in this case, because if there'll be a problem, you'll remove it. Anytime a person has a wound that you have to estimate to see whether his life is in danger or not, if it's already reaching to that point that you're looking to see that this Mechal Nales Shabbos, then you could be Machal Shabbos for this. Amar Rav Shaman bar Abba, Amar Rav Yechanan, v'hai ishtet smirte. This fever, when a person has a strong fever, kemake shalchalal dami. This is a sign that there's a wound on an inner organ, or Machal Lesa Shabbos. And you can be Machal Shabbos for this. The point that we said before, that as long as it's a makkah, a wound that's inside in the body, then you can be Machal Shabbos. From where is considered to be inside? Pirish Rabami. So Rabami said, Minasafa v'lifnim. From the lips of the person, inside, from there, everything inside is considered to be a makkah shalchalal, and you can be Machal Shabbos. Okay, but now on this, Bayer Rabbi Eliezer or Rabbi Lazar, so he asked the shaila on this. So what does this mean? Kachi v'shini mai. Person's gums and teeth, if a person has a illness over here in this area, what's going to be the halacha? Is that also considered to be a makkah, an inner organ, and therefore he can be Machal Shabbos or not? Do I say kivin dakushininu? Since this is the person's gums and teeth, especially the teeth, are still very firm. It's not exactly like an inner organ which is soft. It's softer and is more sensitive, and it's a bichlal organ that affects the whole body, but it's still something which is firm. So therefore, kamaka de broi damu. This is considered to be like an external wound, and you can't be Machal Shabbos for a toothache. Or because it's inside of the lips that he just said. This is considered to be a wound inside the body, and therefore you could be Machal Shabbos. Amar Abaye, so Abaye said, Toshama. I'll bring you a raya from the following Mishnah. It says, a person that has a toothache, lo yigma benes achaimitz. He should not gargle or swallow or rinse his mouth with vinegar to heal this toothache. So he's medayik from the lashon of the Mishnah. Chayshish hu delay. It says here chayshish. It doesn't say he's sick, ill. It says that there's a ache, chayshish, a toothache. Then he's not allowed. But kav letuve. But if this is very painful, which means that there's a real illness here, shaper dami, then it would be allowed to be Machal Shabbos for this illness in the gums and the teeth. So the Gemara says, not necessarily he makes such a diak in the language of the Mishnah. Dilme Tana, even if it's very painful and it's a real illness, he still uses this expression of chayshish, that it's an ache. So Tashama, Gemara tries to bring a raya from another incident that happened. Rabbi Yechanan chosh b'tzavdina. Rabbi Yechanan had an illness called savdina, in some kind of illness in the teeth and in the gums. It's savdina. If they have the English translation for it over there, I think I saw in English they had it as
French mug.
They don't have the translation for it?
French mug.
Okay. Thrush? Okay, thrush. So when he had this illness in his teeth, he went to this noble woman that was apparently a dentist or a doctor, Avda Chamisha or Maila Shabbat. So she healed him on a Thursday, and the next day again she gave him a healing on Friday as well. So Amalah, Rabbi Yechanan said to her, what am I going to do tomorrow at Shabbos? How am I going to heal myself? Amralei lo itzrichis. You won't need, you'll be okay. So he asked her, but itzrichne, if this pain comes back, so what am I going to do? So Amra, she says to him, ishtabali, you have to swear to me, delay maglas, that you won't reveal to anyone if I tell you what the healing for this is. So ishtabala leleke Yisrael lo magilna. He swore as follows. He swore with this expression: I swear that I will not reveal to the God of the Yidden what this healing is. So Galyale, she told him what the healing is. Now Lamachar, the next day, Shabbos, Nafak, Darsha, Bepirke. When he gave his shir on Shabbos, that's on Shabbos, in the times the Gemara always says he would have a big shir for everyone came to shul, and at the shir, he told everybody what the healing for this ailment in the teeth, this thrush is. So the Gemara asks, how did he reveal to everyone what it is? He swore that he's not going to reveal. That he's not going to reveal. So the Gemara says, no. If you look at the language that he swore, he said, I'm not going to reveal to the Eibishter, to the God of the Jews, I won't reveal this healing. But to his people, to the Yidden, I will reveal. She didn't listen to the lashon of the shvur that he said. Okay, so he outsmarted her, but there's a chil Hashem by the fact that she warned him not to reveal, and her impression is that he swore that he's not going to reveal, and he's still telling everyone that what this healing is. So the Gemara says, the Galilome Kara, Right after she told him, he told her, by the way, I just swore I won't reveal, but what I said was I'm not going to reveal to the God of heaven, but for the Yidden I will reveal. So she knew that already at that point that he's going to reveal it to everyone. Okay, this is the story with Rabbi Yochanan. Now what do we see from here? Alme, so we see from this, that this ailment that he had, this tzavdina in his teeth, is considered to be a wound that's internal, and he's using this healing that she gave him on Shabbos. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Rav Nachman Yitzchak says he can't prove from this illness. Shani tzavdina, this illness of tzavdina in the teeth and the gums, because hoyle maschel bepeh, it begins in the mouth, but then it ends up in the intestines. So therefore, this is an ailment that's internal, that is could be a sakana. Now, my simone, what are the signs of this tzavdina? So to treat it properly, Rami midi beikachi umaisi dama. That if you put something into your mouth, as soon as you try to chew something in your mouth, your gums bleed immediately. So umaisi dama, you have blood all over your mouth. You know, so that mi beidari, from the row of your teeth. Mimai have, what causes this illness of tzavdina? Mikriri kriri dechiti, when you eat two things that are too cold, like cold wheat in the summer, or eating things that are too hot and too warm in the winter, from barley. And also, mishiyure kasa da harsana, you're eating leftovers from kasa da harsana. It's a little fish that's made in the time of the Gemara. They made it with flour and oil, and this was left overnight, and you ate from this. That's what causes this illness. Now, my of delay, what is the healing for this? It says that he revealed to her what the healing for this is. So what do you do to heal yourself from this tzavdina? You take mesar, water, the yeast was soaked in it, v'shemen zayis, and olive oil, melach, and salt. And that's what you apply in the mouth, and that will heal it. You take mashche, the avza, the oil that comes from a goose, begatfa, and you apply it on the teeth with one of the wings of the bird itself. The gat for the avza, that is, for a feather, that is, from the goose itself. Omer Abaye says, Ana Abdi Kulu, I did both of these things that the Gemara just said to heal yourself, Veloyat Itzoi, and I was not healed. Adam Le'ahut Taya, until this Arab merchant told me, Aise Kashaise Lezeise, Delemalo Tilsa, bring pits from an olive tree that wasn't a third ripe, the Kalanu Amara Chadata, and burn it over a new hoe, Vidavik Bay, Vidari, Vidavik Bay, Vidavik Bay, and then after you burn it, put it into the mouth, the Dari of the Hachi. What again? The Davik Bay the Dari, and I think it means on the row of the teeth. Yeah. You should put it on the row of the teeth of the Hachi. So now Abaye said, this is what I did, and V'yitzai, and I was healed. Okay. Now the Gemara goes back to the story of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan, how did Rabbi Yochanan do this? That he had this ailment, and as the Gemara just explained, this is something which is a sakana. So how did he go and heal himself by this non-Jewish noble woman, which was Avoda Zara? Rabbi Yochanan was the one that said that if there's a chayla sheyesh sakana, you shouldn't use such a doctor. You can't use this doctor. Answers the Gemara, Adam Chashav Shani. Because Rabbi Yochanan was such a prominent individual, so this doctor, Goyish doctor, is afraid to cause him any harm because it'll backfire. But the Gemara asks, that can't be the reason. Rabavo was also a very prominent person, as Rashi brings, that Rabavo himself had contacts in the government we find in different places in Gemara. And V'ramalei Yaakov Minah, so Yaakov, which was the min, this is seemingly the same Yaakov that was brought up a few times before, Yaakov that came from Ish Kfar Schanya, he was a Talmud from Isaiah Ish. So this Yaakov, this heretic, he put on him Sama Ashoke, he put this potion, this healing on his thigh, and V'iloi Rab Asid L'chachol L'shake, Paske L'shake. If they wouldn't have licked off and removed this sam that he put on his thigh, then they would have to amputate his thigh, because he put on him something that was harmful. So we see here that even though Rabbaval was such a great person, but it was dangerous for him to use this doctor on Avoda Zara. So the fact that you have contacts to the government is not necessarily going to help you. Okay, so the Gemara says that Rabbi Yechanan Reifa Mumchave. No, a different answer. The Gemara says the reason Rabbi Yechanan used this noble woman to heal him because she was a Reifa Mumche. By a case of a Reifa Mumche where her reputation is on the line. So the Gemara already said earlier that here she won't do any harm. Therefore, he relied on her. In fact, the Gemara that Rabavo Nami Reifa Mumchave. This Yaakov was also a medical professional, and his reputation is on the line as well. But still, as you see, he did something which was dangerous for him. So the Gemara answers, Shani Rabavo, the Moikbe Mini ben Avshayu. By the case of Rabavo, where he was being healed by this Yaakov, which was not just Samei, Avoda Zara, but he was one of those heretics, he was a Talmud Devaise Ish. So he is someone that he says about himself, Thomas Nafshi and Plishtim. The expression that it says, that Shimshon Agibah said, let me die, and I'll die together with the Plishtim. So he as well, he doesn't care to put his own reputation on the line as long as he can kill one of the Talmid Chachamim. Therefore, over here, by these minim, there's a bigger danger. So the Gemara, Amar Shmuel. Shmuel said, Hai Pedasa. When a person has a wound that was from a sword, a cut from a sword, Sakanti, it's a danger, Machal Shabbos. It could be an infection, therefore you could be Machal Shabbos for this. Maya Susa, what is the healing for this? Lemifsak Dama, that the bleeding should stop. Tachli Bachala, take cress and mix it with vinegar and you put it on this area, so the blood will stop. Now Lasuke, what is the Bach out over here? Lasuke Garde Divla. Lasuke means in order for the flesh to heal properly, what do? You take Garde Divla, the Garde de Adasana. So you take some kind of herb that's called Yavla, Garde Yavla, and another thing is Garde Adasana, which is from a thorn bush. So you take the Garda, meaning you take the roots of both of these. Oi nikra mi kilkalsa, or you take from the worms that the chickens, when they pack in the garbage, they have these worms over there. You take from this and you apply it on the wound, and it will heal it. Amar Rav Safra said, "Hi invisa." If a person has a boil that's like a very big boil on his body, that's like a grape. Parvanke the malacha de moisi. This is the agent of the malach hamavis, because it's a sign that he has some internal illness that's coming out in this very big wound that he sees like a grape, that's such a kind of a boil. Maya susa, what's the healing for this? Tigne bedufsha. You take tigne, which is something, I don't know, with some kind of a you have over there a translation? Grass? Grass? G-R? Huh?
Grass.
Okay, some kind of grass, okay. Beduvsha, in honey. Oikarpasa betalia, or karpas, which sometimes is translated as parsley. Betalia, which is in old wine. That's what you apply to this boil to heal it. Until you get this and prepare it, what should you do? Lacy imvise basmina. Bring a grape that's similar to this boil that looks like a grape, and vinigdar ilavoy, your lavi, and you should roll it on it. Chivarti lechivarti. So if it's a white boil, so you find a white grape, and and if it's a darker boil, a black boil, so you find a darker grape. Amar Rava said, "Hi simta." If a person has a boil, this is also something that a boil in the body, or a pussy boil. Parvanke de ashtahi. This is an agent of the fever. That's also an illness, an internal illness that the person has. Maya susa. What's the healing for this? Lemachye shitin it kutli. So the person should snap his fingers. You take your thumb and your index finger and you snap your fingers 60 times, and your fingers should be snapped onto this boil in order to soften it. And then after that, velikre shesi veirev, and you cut it open with a crisscross, and you open it up, and for the pus to come out. And for hani mili, when is this the healing? When is this a problem? If the tip of it is not white, but once you see that the tip of it got white, so then less lomba, you don't have to do any of this, because that means that it's going to heal. The pus is going to come out on its own. Dr. Gemara, Rabbi Yaakov chosh bepika. Rabbi Yaakov had the illness bepika, which means hemorrhoids. Rab Ami, so Rab Ami showed him how to heal himself. Rabasi showed him how to heal himself. What should he do? Laisi shev beini Allah tolna. You should bring 7 of the seeds that come from Allah, which is the alu, and has to be red. v'tzayirle, and then tie it bechalala the beit savre, from fabric that's taken from a garment. When you make a garment and you make the opening for the person's neck, so that piece of fabric, tie it in this piece of fabric, v'lichrach ilavei nira barka, and then tie it closed with this hair that comes from a animal, or from a barka, from a sheep or a goat. V'tomishlei benatva, and then you should dip it into natva, into natva chivra, white natva, v'liklei, and then you burn it, ubada le'elavei, and then spread it in that area in order to heal. Now, ad hachi v'hachi, until you prepare this, what could you do to give yourself some relief? Leisi kashise de asna, bring the pits from the fruits that grow on a thorn bush, leinach, pick, and put it over there in this area in order to relieve it. Rather, this is how you read it. Leinach pikke, lahadi pikke. Take from the pit or from the seed that has like has a split in it, and put that split of the seed in the area over there where it's split open, and that will relieve it. Now, hadi mili. All this healing that it said till here regarding this, regarding hemorrhoids, is pikke ilah, when it's external, and therefore when you apply this, it'll reach there and it'll heal it. Pikke tata, but if it's further in the body, so then what should you do to heal it? Because this won't reach that far in. So what you should do is laisi tarbe the tzvirta dole eftach. Take from the tarbe is the fats of a tzvirta d'le'eftach from a goat, I believe, that did not give birth yet. V'lifshar, and you should melt this fats, v'lishtibe, and apply it over there, and it'll go into this area and it'll heal the person. V'iloi, if he doesn't have this available, laisi, tlas, tarfa, kara, the miyavshi betula, bring 3 leaves of kara, which is sometimes translated as a pumpkin, a gourd, a pumpkin that dried in the shade, v'likli, and burn it, v'livdei elavei, and spread it in that area. V'iloi, if he does not have this available, laisi, you should bring meshegde chalzaini, bring from the shell of the chalazain. The chalazin is that fish that you make the tchelis from. Bring it from the shell of that chalazin, and you should apply it there. V'iloi, if you don't have this available, maisi mashach kira, bring oil, and kira is wax. V'linkait b'shachki the kisna bekaita, and put it inside the rags of linen garments of the summertime, or the amar gufne, or from amar is wool garments. Yeah, Amar Gufna actually is cotton. Amar Gufna is tzemeh gefen, which is cotton, besisva, in the winter time, and you should wrap it in that, and you apply it there. Okay, now another illness. Rabavo chosh be'udnei. Rabavo had illness, earache. So Oirile Rabbi Yochanan showed him what to do. Or Vamrila, others say that Bemedrasha. In Bismedrash, that's where he got his medical advice. So my Oirile, what did they show him to do? Kiha the Amr Abaya. Like Abaya said, that Amrili aim. My mother told me, it always says this expression regarding Abaya because he was a Yosem and he was raised by someone that wasn't his mother, that Ivri Kol Yaise Elul Udna. The kidneys were created for healing for the ears. So what do you do? What does it mean to use the kidneys? Rava said, Amrli Minyoimi Asya, Minyoimi the doctor told me, Kulu Shakyainu Kashaludna. Any fluids are bad for the ears. Besides the fluid that comes from the kidneys that can heal the ears. So therefore, what do you do? Leisik kol yaisa the barcha karcha. Take from a kidney from a goat. The likre shesiv erev, tear it open and shesiv erev, crisscross, and you have it open up. And then the leinach hamalala denura, put it on fiery hot coals. And v'hana mai the nafkimine, the fluid that comes out of it lishtinabodne. So you put it inside the ears, and it will heal the person. But it should be like kriri v'loy chamimi. It shouldn't be cold. It shouldn't be hot. Elab shuri. It should be lukewarm. V'loy, if you don't have this available, leisi tarbe de chipushta. Bring from the fats of chipushta gamlanisa, from a big beetle. V'lifsher, and melted v'lishtibe, and put inside the ear. V'loy, if you don't have this available, lemalya leudne, should fill his ears mishcha with oil. V'levet shev psilted aspasta, and you should prepare 7 wicks that is made from aspasta. Aspasta is from the wheat when it only grew a third and it wasn't ripe. So you should make these psilim, these wicks from this aspasta, and v'leisi shufte the tume, and you should bring from garlic. Shufte the tume is the stem of the garlic, or maybe the leaves of the garlics. V'leisiv barke, and that's what you put at one end of these psilim, at these wicks that you're making from this aspasta, and v'leisiv barke b'chad reisha, and then you should put the hairs of a barke, tie it with the hairs of a barke, which is from a goat, on the other side of it, and v'litli behu nura, and you should light it on fire, and v'idach reisha, the other side of it, where you don't have the fire, and the other side of it, maisve ba'udna, you should put it on your ears, v'leisev udna lahadi nura, and your ears should be near the fire, but v'izdar mezika, be careful from the wind that could blow the fire into you. Now, you have what it said before is you have seven of these aspasta that were made into these wicks that's now burning on fire, and you put it by your ear, and v'nishkol chade v'naga chade, you put one, and then when that one's done, you remove it and you put the other one, and that's how the person will be healed. Lishna achrene, another version for this of this healing is v'iloi laisi. If he doesn't have what it was said before, so what you do is shev psilte bikra. You take 7 birka. That's another gerse here. You make 7 wicks out of bikra. What's bikra? How do they? From the animal hair. So you make 7 wicks out of the animal hair. V'shayef le mishcha das pasta, and you apply to it the oil that comes from aspasta, which is balsam oil. Yeah. V'nais yichad reisha benura, and you put one side of it into fire, and v'chad reisha, and the other side of it be'udne will be in his ear. And like we said before, you put one after the next, because there's 7 here. And v'nishko chada, you put one, and when that one's done, v'nogach chada, and you put the other one. And v'yizdar mizika, again, the Gemara says, be careful from the wind, since there's a fire that's burning here. V'iloi, if he doesn't have this available, so what do? Laisi udre the noda, so you should bring wool. The noda, the loy mashkif, wool that was not combed, that was not prepared properly. V'nonach bei, and you should place it on the ear, or v'nonach bei. What do they have there for v'nonach bei? You place it on the ear. V'litlei le'udnei lahadi nura, and you should v'litlei le'udnei lahadi nura, and you should put your ear near the fire, because you light this also on fire. Or mizdar mezike, and be careful from the wind. V'iloi, if he doesn't have this available, what do? Laisi gufse de kanye atika barmeye shonen. Take a tube from a reed that was already detached from the ground 100 years. V'limlechei milcha galalanisa, and fill it with salt that's called salt that comes from galalanisa, a stone. What do they have there? Rock salt. And then v'likle, and burn it, and v'lidbak, and then you can apply it to put it on your ear. Now, the Gemara here gives a siman for the different healings that it said. Simanoch, siman is retive liyabeshta. The different healings that we said that were fluid with moisture, that's a healing for an illness that's a result of something that's too dry. Dryness that brought the illness. V'yabeshta, and then the things, the healings that we were using, things that are very dry, l'retive. That's an illness that comes when there's fluid, when there's too much moisture, and you have to have something dry to heal it. Yeah. Omar Rabbe Bar Zutra, Omar Rab Chanina, Mailin Oznayim b'Shabbos. On Shabbos, when a person's ears fall down, you're allowed to reposition it and fill it and lift it up. I'm not 100% sure what this is. To me, it sounds like it's talking about a dislocated jaw when it's out of its location, so that the ear like it could look out of place, and you could fix it with your hands on Shabbos. Tani Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda biyad. This should only be done if you're doing it with your hands. Avaloi besam, but it shouldn't be done using a medicine. Because B'chlal on Shabbos, the whole gzeira of not using any medicine is because you may come to crush the whatever herbs is needed to make the medicine, so therefore it should be only done by hand. But Iked Amri, another version is the opposite. Bisam, it should be done only with a medicine, avaloi biyad, but it shouldn't be done by hand. My timer, why shouldn't it be done by hand? Because mizrev zarif. Because if it's done by hand, so you're forcing it back into position, you end up making a wound. And on Shabbos, making a wound on Shabbos is a chil Shabbos, so it's better to do it with medicine and not by hand. Amar Rav Zutra bar Tuvia, Amar Rav Ayin Shemarda. If the eyes of the person is in pain, the eye wants to come out of its socket and there's a danger to the eye. Mutter l'koich lo b'Shabbos. You're allowed to give it eye drops or whatever medicine is needed for the eye to save the eye. Now, Savar Mina. So he thought the one that said this name of Rav. He thought that Hanimili. Who the shachki samana me'esmail. What he was saying was you can use the eye drops or whatever you need only if you're prepared and you're already crushed the medicine prepared from before Shabbos. So there's no actual chil Shabbos menatayre here. Aval mishchak b'Shabbos, but to crush the medicine on Shabbos, which is the malacha of teichen, malacha menatayre, or v'asuya derech reshus harabim, or to do a malacha menatayre that to bring the medicine for this eye, carrying a reshus harabim loy, that's not allowed to heal this eye. So Amalei Ahumer Rabbanon. So one of the Chachamim said that Rabbi Yaakov Shmei, Rabbi Yaakov was his name. That Ledim Efarshim Minei Rav Yehuda. That I heard was explained clearly that Rav Yehuda said, "Afilim Mishchak b'Shabbos." You could even crush on Shabbos the medicine needed for the eye. V'asui derech reshus harabim, and even if you have to carry through the reshus harabim mutter, it's allowed. Because the danger of the eye, the Gemara will soon explain, this can cause a danger in a person's life. B'chlal, so you're even allowed to do a malachim and a Torah on Shabbos. So mutter, it's allowed. Rav Yehuda. So Rav Yehuda, as the Gemara just repeated and said in his name, Rav Yehuda allowed to prepare the medicine on Shabbos and to apply it on Shabbos to the eye. Amalu Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda, so Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda said to Rav Yehuda, Man tzayis liYehuda machal Shabbi. Who's going to listen to Rav Yehuda that said that you're allowed to prepare this medicine and do a chil Shabbos to heal the eye? Who's going to listen to Rav Yehuda that's being a chal Shabbos? Now, l'sayif, in the end, what happened was chosh peinei. He himself had this illness with his eye, and it's on Shabbos. So Shalach Lei, he sent to ask Rav Yehuda, Shari Ayaser, am I allowed to prepare this medicine on Shabbos or not? Shalach Lei, so now he answered him, he told him, L'kul al mishari. For everybody else it's allowed, but L'didach Aser, for you it's not allowed. You clearly are the one that said that it's not allowed, and you challenged my opinion, so for you it's not allowed. And then Rav Yehuda said, do you think that when I said it is allowed, I was saying my own opinion? The Mar Shmueli, I was repeating what I learned from my Rebbe, from Shmuel. Because there was an incident that happened by Shmuel, Dahi Amsa, the Havoy Ben Mar Shmuel, there was this maid, I believe it, there was a maidservant that was by the house of Shmuel. The Kotchele Eine B'Shabbata, she had a very terrible eye, pain in the eye on Shabbos, Tzavcha, and she was screaming, V'leka dashkech ba, and no one listened to her. And Paka Eina, her eye, the eye came out of the socket of the eye, she lost her eye. So after such an incident happened in the house of Shmuel, the next day, Nofak Mar Shmuel went out, V'darash, and he dashed for everyone to know, Ayin Shamarda, an eye that's in such pain, and you can lose the eye. Mutter L'keichla b'Shabbos, you're allowed to heal it on Shabbos, and you're allowed to even, as the Gemara said before, that's including preparing the medicine on Shabbos or carrying in a Shusarab on Shabbos, even a Malachim and a Torah. My time is, so here the Gemara explains, the reason is, the Shuriyani De'ene, because there's the pain in the eye, there's some veins that come from the eye, but the libetala. It's connected to the heart of the person and therefore could affect the heart of the person as well. Yeah, so kagaymai, what kind of pains in the eye are we talking about that you're allowed to be mechal Shabbos for? Amar Rav Yehuda kagayn rira. If there's a discharge from the eye that's not usual, like a pussy that comes out of the eye, ditze, the ditze is if a person has a very strong pain, like a stinging pain, dama, or blood that comes out of the eye, dimasa, too much tears that comes out of the eye, or v'kitcha, also a very a heat, very hot inflammation in the eye that feels very hot. This is all signs that a person has this real serious issue with his eye. V'tchilas uchle, this is all though in the beginning when a person feels this illness in his eye in the beginning, that's when he's allowed to heal this on Shabbos in order to, because it could be a sakana b'chlal for the person. La'fuke is saif uchle, but excluding when it's already at the end of the feeling of this illness, because then the person feels like that it's already minimizing, it's going down. Then he's not allowed to heal himself because. So then he's not allowed to heal himself on Shabbos because, or maybe this is a separate point.
Yeah.
That if a person just has a problem with his vision, not any of the points that it said before, he doesn't have any unusual discharge from the eye, but it's just a problem with his vision. That's petzucha. Petzucha ain't to have his vision. Delay. That you're not allowed to heal on Shabbos. Okay, so you can't do laser surgery on Shabbos. Okay. Just one point that's relevant that the Mefarshim point out from what it says here in the Gemara, that when you have any illness in any organ of the body that can cause a sakanas nefashos b'chlal, you're allowed to be mechal Shabbos, a malacha, menatayre, to heal the person. But even when you have an illness that could be a danger to save one limb of the body or one organ, the eye, or the Gemara before brought regarding the dislocated jaw, you're allowed to do a issa midrabanan to save that individual limb on Shabbos. That's there's a machlokes about it, but that's one of the I found of what the Mefarshim take out of this Gemara here. Amar Rav Yehuda said zibura. If a person has a bite from a bee or from a hornet, maybe, or the charzei silua, or if a person has a splinter, I think that's what it is, and visamta, which we had before in the Gemara, which a person has a boil with pus, v'dechav le'ena, or he has eye pain. And he has a fever. Kulu be'bani, on all of these, if he's going into the bath, sakanta, it's going to be dangerous for him. So he shouldn't have any exposure to the water by any of this, because it could be a sakana. Now, another thing he said, chama is going to be good l'chama, which is radish, I believe. Chama is radish. It's good for a person that has a fever. Visilka, beets, litzina, is good for a person that has chills or cold. V'chilufa, but if you do the opposite, then sakanta. That's a danger. If you'll take beets and use it for a person that has a fever, and the same thing vice versa, then it's a sakana. Chamimi la'akrava, things to eat, things that are hot for a person that had a bite from a scorpion, or a kriri, cold, lizibura, a bite from a hornet, that's good, but vichilufa, but the opposite, sakanta, will be a danger. Chamimi, hot, or hot water, lisilu, if a person has, the silu is a person that is, what do I have over there for silu? For what?
By a thorn.
Stung by a thorn, yeah. Well, silu is like a thorn, yeah, like a splinter, a thorn. Kariri and cold lechaspenisa. If a person has something, an issue in his face, Rashi says a person has a opening, it's a wound in his face. But v'chilufa, the opposite, sakanta, will be a sakana. Chala, which is vinegar, lisiburi, is good for siburi, which means after a person had bloodletting. Umanine litanisa, and munine, which is to eat small fish, is good after a fast. But v'chilufa, the opposite, sakante, is a sakana. Tachli visibura, tachli, which is cress, is that the type of it? It's cress, yeah. And visibura, and also together with sibura, which is bloodletting. If you do have the two together, sakanta, it's a sakana. Ishta visibura, if a person has a fever and he's doing bloodletting at the time when he has a fever, sakanta, it's also sakana. Kav eina, if a person has eye pain, visibura, and he does bloodletting, then sakanta, that's also a sakana. Sheni ledog, the second day after a person ate fish and dam, and he does bloodletting, or sheni ledam, the second day after he did bloodletting, dag, and he eats fish. So shlishi loi sakanta, and so this is a sakana. But if or maybe the Gemara is saying that again sheni dam sheni and the dag. If it's, that's good, right? So then it's going to be good for the person, right? The second day after he ate fish, then he should do bloodletting, or the second day after bloodletting, you should eat fish. But on the third day, shlishi loi, if it's the third day from the bloodletting or fish, then sakanta, then it would be a sakana. It has to be dafka on the second day. Okay.
Yeah. That's a hard daf.